That was, yeah, good job. I like that. Yeah. Jeff Tatro, every service is a rock concert. Got your shoulders getting a lot better. Jeff, we appreciate that. When I was in high school, graduated high school about 14 years ago. I played baseball throughout high school, and when my senior year, and actually the year after high school, a couple of friends and I, we were coaching a senior Little League team, which was like 13 to 15 years of age. And we're not much older than they are. We are like 17 to 19 years of age. And one of the things that we learned, what was really interesting, and now you see it all the time, is we learned that parents love to coach. If you have kids in any type of youth activity, you see this all the time. It's the ones who are saying, how come Johnny or Judy is not in the game? How come they're not playing? They should be out there. Or they are instructing the kids completely different than how the coaches have taught them to do. And you see this over and over again. And we have a very short video clip, but this video clip is after somebody tries to be kind of like the sideline coach. And let's go ahead and roll that if you haven't, if you can get the lights on.
That flag can't be on that hit, that was clean. You might have said it was short though. You're crazy. You want to see the tape?
That's good, because I don't know how far it's going to go after that. It took Whitney almost the entire afternoon to find one that didn't have
Profanity.
Yeah, profanity in it. Thank you.
Violence.
And this is just kind of the outcome of this. And I'm preaching a sermon tonight on the sideline coach.
Uh-oh.
And this is a subject that's been in the back of my mind for quite some time as pastoring, because a lot of articles are written about this. Passionate parents. There's one article written, as a matter of fact, in Omaha, Nebraska, so be ready for this one, Tim Louisa. Passionate parents can mean trouble for youth sports. The problem with kids who play sports is, this is the quote, is that they have parents. And the problem with those parents is that they tend to show up at the kids' games. Parents in youth sports aren't games. Don't always mix well, say coaches, league officials, and others in the Omaha, Nebraska area, who have spent a large amount of time trying to help kids learn about exercise, teamwork, and other positive values of sports we teach. And the role of parents came into youth sports focus again, because there was just another brawl, because parents were trying to, this time the coaches was fighting the parents, because the parents were telling the coaches how to coach the game. And parents should avoid coaching from the sideline. If you're one of those that does that, stop. Just because I was a 18-year-old guy coaching a senior Little League team, and I learned firsthand that there are a lot of parents, and most of them, if in this nowadays, the only time that they ever played sports was on Xbox, but they were trying to coach these kids, and they're right behind us, unwinding everything that we've put into them through practice and training and all of this, and it's confusing, absolutely confusing. And so I want to minister tonight. It's not only coaches that have to deal with sideline coaching. Welcome to the church world. If you've pastored here, you know what it feels like having members in your congregation who have become victims of spiritual sideline coaching. and I want to minister on how to handle this tonight, a subject I've really been thinking about for quite some time. And I'm really glad I have your attention tonight. This is going to be good. Spiritual sideline coaching. As a matter of fact, it does make a big difference this evening. It's not so much, who cares if Johnny misses a basket, because that's not the problem. They'll get the ball back. Doesn't matter if someone was short of the goal line or the end zone, because they're going to get another shot at it. And I have a bigger problem tonight, and that's this issue of people coaching people spiritually in the house of God that shouldn't be. And I want to help us with that a little bit tonight out of the Word of God. In 1 Kings chapter 13, our text tonight actually deals a little bit further down the road. 1 Kings 13:7 tonight. But we're not going to read that text, so hold that for just a moment. Just a little bit of background. In 1 Kings chapter 13, I don't have a whole story. There's King Jeroboam. There's a man of God. There's the old prophet. The king did evil in the sight of God, and God doesn't like it when we do evil in his sight. He was involved in idol worship, allowed anyone he wished to hold a position in the temple of God. And finally, the man of God got upset. One day, King Jeroboam was in the sanctuary next to the altar, and the man of God walks in, and he proclaimed judgment. And this is why we have a senior pastor. I'm not the senior pastor. Pastor Martinez is not the senior pastor. Pastor Campbell is the senior pastor of this congregation. When he's not here, he entrusts the church to us, and we really do hold that in high regard tonight. And so here's King Jeroboam. He's in there. He's taking for granted the spiritual things of God, and he's taking for granted that he can do whatever he wants to do in the house of God, and he's upset that the man of God begins to judge him at the house of God. And as a matter of fact, if you read through it in your own time, 1 Kings chapter 13, he points out literally to temple security and says the man of God, and he says, arrest him. And the moment he points his hand out to him, if you remember the story, God withers his hand. One translation says God paralyzed his hand. Another translation said God disjointed his shoulder so that he could not pull it back himself. And the king is there. He's helpless. He asks the man of God, who he has just tried to have arrested, if he would pray for him, and he does, like any good pastor. When people speak against the pastor, sometimes they'll come back to him and says, oh, I'm sorry, can you pray for me? And we always do that with an honest heart and an open mind and out of a gracious attitude. And he did, and his hand is healed. And this is where we pick up the story tonight. 1 Kings 13, verse number 7 tonight. Then the king said to the man of God, come home with me. He's just healed him after he judged him. Refresh yourself, and I will give you a reward. But the man of God said to the king, if you were to give me half your house, I would not go in with you, nor would I eat bread nor drink water in this place. For so it was commanded me by the word of the Lord, saying, you shall not eat bread nor drink water, nor return by the same way you came. So he went another way, and did not return by the way he came to Bethel. Verse 11, Now an old prophet dwelt in Bethel, and his sons came and told him all the works that the man of God had done that day in Bethel. They also told their father the words which he had spoken to the king. And their father said to them, which way did he go? For the sons had seen which way the man of God went and came from Judah. Then he said to the sons, saddle the donkey for me. So they saddled the donkey for him, and he rode on it. Went after the man of God and found him sitting under an oak. Then he said to him, are you the man of God who came from Judah? And he said, I am. Then he said to him, come home with me and eat bread. And he said, I cannot return with you, nor go in with you, neither can I eat bread nor drink water with you in this place. For I've been told by the word of the Lord, you shall not eat bread, drink water there, nor return by the way you came. And he said to him, listen to this, verse 18. And he said to him, I too am a prophet as you are. And an angel spoke to me by the word of the Lord, saying, bring him back with you to your house, that he may eat bread, drink water. And in parentheses, the Bible says he was lying to him.
Yeah.
So he went back with him, and he ate bread in his house, and he drank water. Now it happened, as they sat at the table, that the word of the Lord came to the prophet who had brought him back. And he cried out to the man of God who came from Judah, saying, Thus says the Lord, because you have disobeyed the word of the Lord, and have not kept the commandment which the Lord your God commanded you, but you came back, ate bread, drank water in the place which the Lord said to you, Eat no bread and drink no water, your corpse shall not come to the tomb of your father. So it was, after he had eaten bread and he had drunk, that he saddled the donkey for him, and the prophet who had brought him back. Verse 24, last scripture verse. When he was gone, a lion met him on the road and killed him. And his corpse was thrown on the road, and the donkey stood by it. The lion also stood by the corpse. The sideline coach. Sideline coaching isn't a new problem in the sports world. It's been around for centuries. Voices on the sidelines. It's kind of like the backseat driver. Anyone like a backseat driver tonight? Nobody likes a backseat driver. Always telling you, say, listen, you might want to get in the right lane up here because we need to make a turn. You might want to slow down here because there's a bump that's coming up right here. You might want to consider that there's oftentimes a speed trap that's located over here by the Circle K. So, and you know, the sideline backseat driver is kind of like the sideline coach. I mean, I can be guilty of sideline coaching. I know I'm not the only one that has yelled at the TV, which I don't own, by the way. He's yelled at the TV during a sports game, right? Oftentimes we'll get together and watch some things, and if there's a bonehead move, every guy in this place, and probably some passionate ladies, got to be saying, "You got to be kidding me!" I mean, a Super Bowl was lost by Seattle by a horrific call. I mean, bottom line.
Was.
You got one of the best running backs in the NFL, and you tried to pass the ball. It's intercepted at the goal line. And my new adopted team, the New England Patriots, went on to win. And I've just now adopted them because my nephew Ryan knows I'm a Chargers supporter. So that's for you, Ryan. Amen. The sideline coaching has been around for a long time. From Eve in the garden to Jesus fasting 40 days. Lots of examples of this. Jesus is leading his pioneering church of 12 people, and the disciples had their share of voices that came in from the sideline, trying to unwind all that Jesus had taught them. Matthew 9:14 says, Then the disciples of John came to him, saying, Why do we and the Pharisees fast often, but your disciples do not fast? Here comes the backseat drivers. Matthew 15, verse number 2 says, Why do your disciples transgress or sin or break the tradition of the elders? For they do not wash their hands when they eat bread. Matthew 17:24. When they had come to Capernaum, those who received the temple tax came to Peter and said, Does your teacher not pay the temple tax? And so Jesus himself was no stranger to sideline coaching. The Apostle Paul dealt with it as well. In Acts 15, verse number 1, And certain men came down from Judah and taught the brethren, Unless you are circumcised according to the custom of Moses, you cannot be saved. Therefore, when Paul and Barnabas had no small dissension and dispute with them, they determined that Paul and Barnabas and certain others of them should go up to Jerusalem, the apostles' elders, about this question. Listen tonight, there will always be somebody who is going to try to unwind what God is doing in your life. If you're a brand new believer this evening, it's amazing. One of the things we were taught early on in our Christianity is that, you know what, we need to guard and protect our new believers and our new converts and those that come to Jesus Christ, because oftentimes it was something that we saw for the very first time is people would come to Christ, give their heart to Jesus in a service just like ours tonight. They'd come down, pray a prayer, and out of the blue, a Tio or Tia or aunt or uncle who they never knew they were saved, would come now and say, Why don't you come to our church because now you're a Christian? How many of you have ever seen that happen? That happens all the time. And so this evening, I want to caution you tonight. Listen, let God do what he needs to do in your life, and be careful of those that come and act like they are Christians too. Like the old prophet here says, I am a believer too, and then tell you something completely different. Because there are people on the sideline that are trying to unwind what God is doing and bring confusion. What we really need tonight is people to encourage one another. Continue on where you're at. One foot in front of the other. Place by place, step by step, precept upon precept, line upon line. Serve God right where God placed you. Right where He's done something potent and powerful in your life. And sometimes that's all they need. But as a pastor tonight, how do we, or you this evening, how do you discern or how do you know what sideline coaching is? How do you differentiate between sideline coaching and being a team coaching? Is it dangerous tonight? Listen, it can be dangerous this evening to listen to people who may seem like they have your best interest in mind, but their words are words that will unwind, it will discredit, it will discourage those that God put above you to lead. So every time we were trying to coach someone, I was a pitching coach, and every time I was working with our young starter, 14 years of age, giving them some of the fine arts of pitching, how to move the ball around, how to pitch the batters, just the concepts of the game at a much higher level, working with him for a long period of time. But his parents would constantly bark out new commands to him every time he threw a ball. And it was confusing him. And I was unsaved, so it didn't confuse me, it fired me up. And at 17, 18 years of age, I finally, I don't remember exactly how I said it, but I said, can I speak to you for a moment, like kind of in between the innings? I said, listen, we're trying to work with Trevor here, because Trevor has all the skill sets in the world to be a fantastic pitcher. I pitched at a high level. I understand the game, and we're trying to teach him some things. I don't think I use the word concepts, but we're trying to teach him some things that'll really help them. And when she rolled her eyes at me, that was about it. And it's funny, but it happens all the time. And this young man, during the 2 seasons that we coached him, his parents were relentless, and literally they tried to unwind everything that we were trying to teach him for his own good. In God's kingdom and in God's world, God has a plan, He has a strategy, He has a purpose. God says, and He commanded the prophet, I want you to do A, B, and C. Listen, I don't want you to eat, I don't want you to drink, I don't want you to hang out there. It was really simple, and so as it was said, that He obeyed that. Along comes the old prophet. The old prophet gives you this idea, of course, that he was a prophet in God's kingdom. I'm a Christian too. I'm a believer too. And the Lord told me, an angel told me, that you should come back with me and let's eat and let's drink. And he listened to him, and God allowed him to be devoured by a lion. As an illustrative point for you and I tonight, it's you got to be careful who you listen to.
That's right, amen.
It doesn't mean that your parents are evil. The parents in the Little League game that we were coaching, they were not evil people. They loved their son. They loved all their children. They provided for them. They thought that they had their children's best interest in mind. But they were leading him down the wrong path, if you will. And I want to tell you tonight, God does speak to His people this evening. He speaks to you. He gives you clear-cut direction how to live for God. Many of you have made agreements with God at this altar. You've made a covenant with God and said, you know what, God, I hear what you're saying. I'm going to do exactly what you said. And then all of a sudden, an old prophet or an old Christian comes along, maybe, or it could be even a newer person or somebody that you don't know that well. religious people, a backslider, and they will give you completely different spiritual advice. God has a playbook tonight. He has a game plan. And everything He does is according to His plan. This is the way God works. And spiritual sideline coaching has been around from the beginning of time. You look at Eve, she is instructed, don't eat from the tree. And we know the demonic comes in. The demonic is the sideline coach and says, listen, if you eat of that, you're going to have all the knowledge, all the wisdom, everything that God Almighty has given for His people and the opportunities in life. Jesus fasting for 40 days. Who shows up on the sideline? The demonic. Spiritual sideline coaching dangerous? Absolutely, if it means veering off from what God has called you to do. The challenge with sideline coaching is how to determine if the person that's giving you the advice is speaking as God's instrument or as the devil's instrument to hurt you. Now this is where you have to be really careful, even as a pastor to say that, and that's a pretty harsh term, is sometimes people, good people, can bring words or an instrument that is not godly inspired, it's demonically inspired. And discerning the difference tonight is important. Amen. The man of God met his demise not by a horned devil or a wicked, raging demoniac. He met his demise by a prophet, an old prophet, with the intentions and the awareness to change the plan or the play for the day. What was the playbook? Do not eat, do not drink, do not take the same way home that you came. That was God's plan. That was His playbook. It's no different than the old days. Sometimes it was said when there would be a change on offense of some sort, sometimes a play would be run into the quarterback, and it's a very specific play. Spiritual sideline coaching is always about changing the play. The moment someone comes to you and you know for a fact you've had godly counsel, you've bounced some things off some people, you've made a plan, and when it comes to you and all of a sudden it may come from someone that may seem to have a good idea or a good plan, if it changes the play, that ought to set a warning sign off in your mind this evening. I want to help you tonight to get you to do the opposite of what God asked you to do. And the challenge isn't always in the obvious. The challenge, it's obvious when an old friend says, hey, come, let's get high again. All right, that's the obvious. Or let's party again. Or let's go out and cause trouble again. Or whatever it may be. The challenge is when an old prophet or a long-standing member of the church starts talking to you. Because the old prophet knows the play. He knows that don't eat, don't drink, and go home another way. So to change the play, he needs to get the man of God to eat and to drink. And in verse number 18 of our text, the key words are, I'm a man of God like you. I'm a Christian too. Goes on to say, if you could pull that up, verse number 18, I'm a man of God like you. An angel spoke to me by the word of the Lord. And the Bible says that the old prophet was lying to him. Sometimes, even an innocent person, I mean, this is a man of God, he's not innocent, sometimes even an innocent person listening to a sideline spiritual coach can find themselves in a good case, in a situation where your mind is confused, your spirit is dampened. Your victory is challenged. Your passion is being usurped by the demonic. And you, in a worst case scenario, you won't make it for God. And it'll suck you back in. Because spiritual sideline coaching is always about changing the play. Change the course of the plan. Change God's plan. Change your mind and kill destiny. This church has destiny. You have a destiny. You have a plan, have a purpose. God has a playbook for your life. He has this thing scripted. Our pastor, one of the things we say to a lot of people, as a matter of fact, I said it to someone this evening, is that I know my pastor prays. And because he prays, I believe that he hears from God. And when he hears from God, he instructs us. And when he instructs us, it's a godly instruction. It's like a playbook. God has a plan. He has a playbook. It's called the Bible tonight. It has a plan and a purpose, just like you do in your life. But if we alter that this evening, it's very possible to kill destiny. No one wants to lose their destiny. And these sideline coaches, they are masters at changing the play. Because these people can be passionate, disregard God's strategy. They can say something as simple, well, that seems odd to me. Why would your pastor say that? That seems odd to me. Why would you want to change your life the way you're changing it? Well, because I don't want to be a dope addict, a foul-mouthed hoochie mama anymore. Because I don't want to lie, I don't want to cheat, I don't want to steal. That's why. The constant challenge tonight is these voices to doubt God's plans. Fanatical sinners, cynical backsliders, bitter Christians, old prophets attempting to sabotage the light. And just because a person goes to church or believes in God or is a long-standing member doesn't mean that that person knows God's plan for your life.
That's right. Come on.
Unless you tell them. I'm called to live a holy life. And their response would be, I'm holy too. An angel spoke to me. It's okay to have a little drink now and then. A little wine for the stomach's sake.
Yeah, right.
I mean, it's only on special occasions. It's not like I'm getting drunk. Right? I'm having a great time with this.
Come on. Yeah.
Because some of you are under the effect of a spiritual sideline coach. I'm called to be sanctified. That's a $20 word that a new Christian learns, which is the process of God cleaning up your life and purifying your life over time. And they'll say, listen, I'm sanctified too. An angel spoke to me. And it's okay. I mean, it's okay to mix with the world.
Yeah.
I mean, I can handle it. I've been a Christian long enough now.
Yeah, I know.
Or someone will say, I'm called to obedience. Hey, guess what? I'm obedient too. An angel spoke to me. It's okay. No one's perfect. We're saved by grace. At least any man should boast. I'm called to the ministry. I'm a man of God just like you. Down at the Door Church, you might not want to trust any of those coaches because their playbook is all wrong. You see, the old prophet knew the play, and he was trying to destroy the man of God. And he got him to eat, got him to drink, got him to go home and live there. But he didn't know that there was a lion waiting for him. No different than Samson know that when he took out of the honey of the carcass, that God says, listen, you shall not touch anything, a Nazirite vow, you shall not touch any unclean thing, you shall not touch anything that's had natural death or violent death. He took of that. Little did he know that his power left him from that point forward. And God left. The irony of this story is, and I want to bring this to a conclusion tonight, the old prophet got the man to do exactly what he was doing. The lion was waiting for him, destroyed him. The irony of this story is the old prophet was there to witness the death of the man of God. I mean, sometimes you would think it would have been the old prophet who would be the one who got eaten by the lion. But it wasn't. Then the old prophet went and found his corpse thrown on the road, and the donkey and the lion standing by the corpse. The lion had not eaten the corpse nor torn the donkey. And the prophet took up the corpse, and the man of God laid it on the donkey, brought it back. So the old prophet came to the city to mourn and to bury him. Be careful of the advice that has the potential to kill you spiritually. Because sideline coaching is always about changing the plan. It's always about altering the direction. Sideline coaching is always another voice. Sometimes it's the voice of the demonic that bounces off of the mind. Sometimes it does come from an old prophet. Sometimes it comes from a family member. And the tragedy of watching Christians backslide and die spiritually is the person who gave the bad spiritual advice is there on the sidelines watching. And it happens in our church, and my worry is it could happen again. So what's the answer tonight? Always go back to the playbook, the plan that God gave you. When you were a new convert, live clean, pursue my will, obey my words, put your hands to the plow in labor, judge sin. What I love about this church is we will judge immorality in this congregation.
Amen. Come on.
Not because we're cruel or we're mean, but because we don't want you to be eaten by a lion later down the road.
Come on. That's right.
That's the reason why. We don't. It's brutal. Disciples, go back to the original playbook. That has